So I'm focusing more on policy options that protect livestock production in the context of changing climate. And those are the countries that we cover under IGAD, that is Sudan, South Sudan, Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, Somalia, Djibouti. We have very little in Eritrea. That is the total livestock resource that we have in the region, which contributes 38% in the African continent. So what are the policy options that protect livestock production in the context of climate change? One of the things that we have just seen from the previous presentations is that global demand for foods of animal origin is growing, and it is apparent that livestock sector will need to expand. So if production is not improved, and then greenhouse gas emissions will increase, just as Erickson just showed that low productivity and then high emissions. Then livestock are adversely affected by the detrimental effects of extreme weather, which I will not go into deep because it's already explained. Multidisciplinary approaches, including animal breeding, nutrition, housing, and health, are required for reducing the adverse impact of climate change on livestock. So the objective of policy formulations is to strengthen core capacities of farmers to absorb, adapt, and recover quickly from the impact of adverse event that in this case is brought about by climate change. And this includes measures to reduce the initial impact of a shock or shorten recovery time. And like in our region, index-based livestock insurance was one of the things that was piloted in Kenya and Ethiopia. They tried in Sudan, but it did not pick up, so that at least farmers are cushioned. And then drought relief funds and access to appropriate finances to buy water and animal feed, so that and the livestock can be saved. Then stocking of necessary supplies like fodder banks, processed feed. When you go to Sudan, you go to Ethiopia, Uganda, Kenya, you see these fodder banks. So policy development. When you look at many of the IGAD member states, they have national greenhouse gas emissions from the livestock sector. Just as it was mentioned that enteric fermentation is one of the major contributing factor to methane production and other gases. And then all IGAD member states have nationally determined contributions that outline actions to enhance adaptation and build resilience. Ethiopia, Somalia, and Uganda also mention greenhouse gas mitigation in the livestock sector. Then most of the member states are promoting climate smart agriculture to mitigate greenhouse gas, just as it was mentioned by Palikoa. They have national climate change framework policies just to address GHG, and then implementation of these very nice policies is still an issue. So what are some of the policy coherence at national level? Is that national frameworks and strategies for integrating and mainstreaming adaptation, productivity, and mitigation into planning processes. That is Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, you have the climate resilience and green economy strategies. In Kenya, you have the climate smart agriculture strategy implementation framework. And Uganda, you have the national climate change policy that are actually being applied and utilized in order to mitigate the greenhouse emissions. In Ethiopia's climate change, climate resilience and green economy strategy, the National Determinant Contribution and NAP, and the development that is Growth and Transformation Plan 2 frameworks evaluated as providing strong strategy and policy coherence for livestock sector adaptation and mitigation. And that one is cited from the URI report that was done for Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda. So Kenya has longest record and integrating adaptation and mitigation. That is National Climate Change Response Strategy of 2010, strategy, stroke a change action plan, also cited from URI. And so what are some of the opportunities that are there that can help in mitigate these effects of climate change? Is that member states support to address climate change issues through appropriate policies. They have really come in very are addressed. Then the governments even obtain loans from development partners to implement key projects like the RPLRP project, DRSLP project in the region. They are meant to address some of the effects. And then development partners' readiness to finance some key activities in terms of loans, grants, or donor funds, like in a number of projects running that is supporting a number of research findings, like what was presented by even URI. Readiness of mainstreaming stakeholders to apply new technologies meant to mitigate effects of climate change, like now turning into intensive production, feedlotting, ranching, so that productivity goes up and reduce gas emissions. Then use of ICT mobile phone technologies to transmit climate information to last mile end users, and then increased demand of livestock and livestock products and growing private sector investment. And so what are some of the policy caps and actions? One is that there is inadequate mainstreaming of livestock climate actions into national and subnational development plans, processes, and implementation across the whole region. And what can be done? We need to promote joint coordination mechanism through policy intervention, and then increase livestock keepers' quality of engagement in policy processes and maintain policy dialogue beyond the confines of the livestock sector. Then second cap is inadequate coordination of actors supporting livestock climate actions, and what we need to do is development of a stakeholder-driven national action livestock subsector. The other cap is inadequate access to climate information services and early warning systems. We need to build the capacity of critical technical and community institutions need to be built here and there. And then the other cap is a long lag between the technology development and delivery of requisite adaptation and mitigation technologies and management practices. The research is going on, a lot of information is good, but disseminating this information is a challenge. So what we need to do is apply adaptive research methods involving communities and use of indigenous technologies and methods in knowledge co-generation and production. The other cap is current investment in climate sections are of narrow scale compared to the vast arid and semi-arid land areas, as well as climate challenges that are complex and transformative in nature. And then the solutions we suggest is move towards joint assistance strategy and upscale interventions, then use of landscape approach in livestock climate actions. The other challenge is scattered data and information systems and inadequate knowledge sharing and cross-learning on climate change actions. And the solution is the development of climate actions data and information sharing system for the subsector domesticated at the state departments in every country. And then the other one is the implementation of effective mitigation policies faces the challenge of addressing multiple and often conflicting goals, including poverty reduction, economic growth, and protection of natural resources. So we need a strong need for research on win-win approaches that can lower the greenhouse gas emissions and produce economic and environmental core benefits. Thank you and over.